one of our layout supervisors.
The more the merrier. Oh, good.
We're not worthy.
Sure you are.
No, you're not.
Everyone is worthy in their own way. Hello, everybody. Welcome to BronyCAN in the Jim and Jayson Power Hour. Of course, we have.
Power Hour.
Yeah, that's where we're built at, so that's what I'm calling it. I'm Deej, also known as Vaper. That's my pony name. Don't wear it out. I'll be your moderator today. We have a lot of people here, so I'm not going to do a lot of yapping with these guys because I'm sure everyone here has a lot of questions. But you know these guys from. Of course, My Little Pony. And actually, one of the things I was rather pleased to find out that Jayson here was part of the Mr. Hell show.
Oh, yeah? How did you find that out?
IMDb Pro, baby. It knows all.
Actually, I ended up designing the logo for that show, the wording, the font for the title.
Ooh.
Little known fact.
Yes. It didn't last long, unfortunately, but, well, it's still one of my favorites. So we have, of course, Jayson Thiessen, who has been the showrunner since season 2, and a director, and is a co-executive producer, or?
Yeah, co-executive producer.
And, of course, Big Jim Thiessen, who has gone from...
Miller. He's the Thiessen.
Sorry!
I'm the Miller.
I'm trying to do this by memory. Okay. Big Jim Miller. I'm terribly sorry about that.
All right.
Who has come from genetics to ponies. Yep. And I'm sorry, we have a new panelist here that I was not aware of.
This is Stephanie Mahoney. She's one of our layout supervisors on the show. She'll be on the panel with us tomorrow as well, but she's hanging out with us, so we thought we'd make her sit up here.
She's just tagging along.
All right, well, I don't have a lot of reach here, and I thought, let's see how far we got to reach on the mic. Oh, it'll be good, because I'm going to, the way we're going to do this is...
It is on.
I think mine's on.
Check. Okay, I hear it.
Okay. So I'm going to be here at the microphone, and just so we can have you, if you like, come up if you have a question, or please raise your hand, or come on up if you want to ask something.
When I was at BronyCAN earlier in the month, I don't know if anyone here plays the card game. Does anyone play the card game, the collectible card game? No? No one plays this game? Well, then this isn't really going to be exciting at all. I saw a couple hands. Okay. Well, I have these exclusive to BronyCAN cards. There's a Maniac card and a Derpy card. So whoever asks the best question that we will decide arbitrarily what that question is.
Of course.
Will win these cards gratis. So.
Actually, we will be charging for them.
That's a question. Whether or not it's the best question remains to be seen.
Yeah.
Currently.
Well, I'm not going to be in the running for the question, but there is one question I have had. As an actor, I know what a director does as far as stage or film is, but how different is a director of a cartoon show, since you're not quite working with actors and camera people, you're working with storyboards and animation and...
Well, we do work with actors,
yeah.
But just in a different capacity because they're not on camera. We have drawn actors, of course, as you know, and so we're sort of directing their action on paper, and we are kind of acting as the visual version of the actor by drawing them ourselves. So we get to make them do whatever we want them to do.
Godlike.
No matter how impossible.
Yeah, we don't have them fight back or argue.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a lot of like pre-planning. I mean, there's plenty of pre-planning in live action, but we have to like really think, because there's no reshoots. Once you do it once, like, there's very limited number of things you can do to change it. So it's a lot of thinking ahead and visualizing the final thing way beforehand, so you don't have to throw it out and start.
Yeah, there's not
again.
like multiple takes of a particular
scene. Let's take another
There's
take. No, you
scene.
can't do that.
So no blooper reels then.
Yeah.
No.
Well.
Yeah. Animation errors.
Yes.
Well, I had one back when I was a classical animator, hand drawn, if you can imagine that.
How old are you?
Ancient. But I worked under a director who was a live action director who was doing his first kind of animated show. And I showed him like some animation I had worked on for like over a week. And he was like, yeah, that's pretty good, but could we try another take from a different angle? I'm like, are you serious? This spent me a week of my time. So he learned pretty quick how it works.
Well, another question I would ask, so you do come from a background of classical cell animation. What was it difficult to transition from traditional to flash animation?
Well, I didn't have much trouble. I mean,
I have never learned Flash, and I refuse to learn Flash. I come from a storyboarding background, so everything's still drawn with my hand, and then the only thing that's different is the medium I'm drawing on. So I went from drawing on paper to drawing on a Cintiq or a screen you can draw right on.
There isn't a whole lot different if you think about it. I mean, like, no matter what the medium, animation principles still remain true.
Yeah, any monkey can learn the program, right,
yeah,
Steph?
Yeah, we taught her. Actually, she's probably just teach us a thing or two.
Did you start in 2D, like hand-drawn?
In school. I could talk into... No, I can't. I'm not loud enough. In school we did, but I never actually did it being paid to do it, so no.
All right, never mind. This question doesn't apply to you.
Well, I had to learn on the job because they were just like, oh, we're going to do something in Flash. Can you do that? And like, I've never done it before, but
yeah, when you guys
I'll
started
try.
in Flash, I know like you and Woody and Joel all started in Flash at the same time. Woody, who was the director on the first 3 seasons with Jayson, and Joel Dickey, who's the director on Littlest Pet Shop.
Yeah, he used to be a layout supervisor.
Layout supervisor, was a board artist on Pony. You guys were pretty much the vanguard of the new crew who was learning Flash, right?
Yeah, well, we were trying to push it as much as we wanted the show to look like classical looks, and there's so many like things that are easy to do in Flash, but it doesn't make it look very good. It looks very cut out and sort of stiff, so we didn't like that. And you know, we really wanted to push the medium because we saw the potential in it. We wanted it to look like how classical does, because that's what we wanted to do. So we just kept working at it and breaking this program down to make it work for us.
And breaking the program.
And breaking the program many times over. But we managed to get something decent out of a program made for web banners.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions at this time? Okay, you right here. Do you want to come up or do you want to do it from there? Because that way it's always better to be heard. Oh, and I gotta say, Jim, I love the tweet that you did this, what was it, yesterday or today, about Don Pardo.
Oh, yeah.
I love the concept of, for those of you who are not from a distant land known as the 70s, Don Pardo, famous announcer for NBC.
He's the guy who would go, "It's Saturday Night Live!"
Yes. And unfortunately, he died. And what Jim had said on his Twitter was, hope that he's able to introduce people as they come into heaven. So I'm kind of hoping that happens to me.
One thing Jayson and I started doing when we were at BabsCon earlier this year is when we said, in terms of questions, you guys can ask whatever you want, but if you ask a question that you know we can't answer, like a spoiler question, or a question that's really dumb, like, who's your favorite pony? Shut up! We get to publicly shame you. So
Jim loves that part.
I love it. It's my favorite thing, but no one ever does it. Because
you're warning them.
I know, but anyway, just keep that in mind.
Well, let's get a quick example of that, Shane. So, Jim, what's your favorite pony?
Really? Everyone boo this person. Boo. Also, Applejack is best pony.
Yay! All right. Your name is?
Kyle.
Hi, Kyle. And your question for our directors, and sorry, I forgot. Layout supervisor. I'm going to get that in my head. Sorry, premenopause brain. TMI.
Actually, I apologize not having you apart. I didn't know you'd be here.
That's okay.
But
she's crashing.
Yeah, I know you were both very involved in the My Little Pony Equestria Girls. Great movie, by the way. But a question about how it went on. Was there any sort of a change or a difficulty in how it was produced due to the fact that it was a much more diverse audience than a movie like this would normally have?
You mean like in how we approached it? Yeah. I mean, I know I was board supervising on that one, and that was a little trickier in terms of trying to tell a longer form story and make sure that the movie didn't just sort of stay at one level, that we had emotional peaks and valleys, and that the pacing worked.
That was actually one of the funnest challenges about it, because we had only done 22 minutes and maybe 2-parters, but nothing as long as an hour and a bit. So it was kind of a neat thing to like think, oh, we can linger on shots much longer. We can build scenes a lot longer.
We can really play out this relationship with Flash that everyone loves so much.
I mean, other than the obvious stuff, which is now they're humans and they have hands and they stand on two legs, and they can't say every pony anymore. We play with that a little bit. I mean, that we had fun with it.
Yeah, there was a lot of opportunities for us to sort of poke fun at the series as well, which was kind of cool.
Twilight trying to learn how to walk.
Yeah, that was great. I remember when the board artist Emmett presented that to us.
Oh, yeah, that was
walking
fun.
on all fours, and and then the guy looks over with his dog, and we're like, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But you did call back to that later on with Twilight doing her fabulous dancing at the dance.
That's right. That was a callback to an episode. It was a Sweet and Elite where Twilight does like this kind of awkward dance.
Yeah, she dances like Elaine.
Well, if she's now in a human world where she's gonna be awkward, we might as well do an awkward dance, especially on all fours.
Well, she probably didn't read enough books on dance before the party.
Yeah,
so.
didn't have time.
No, I just want to say thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Next.
over here. Yep, just come on. And a very quick question before we get to this question. How did you was there a difficulty to balance you want to play to the fans of MMOP of the movie, but at the same time you want to hopefully try to draw people in who are not familiar with MMOP?
Here's a secret. We never try to play exactly to the fans.
Nice.
Right.
We try to be true to the show and the humor of the show, and if there's funny things in it, that's because we thought they were funny, not because we're pandering to anyone.
we try to make something that we would want to watch.
Yeah.
And so if it feels good to us, then
But I know in layout,
it feels
Steph
good to other
always,
people too.
Steph always panders to the fans, right?
Just a little bit.
Well, I did love Granny Smith as the lunch lady. That was like classic. Okay, your name is?
My name's Nick.
Okay, and your question is?
My question is, it's actually about the comic series, the IDW MLP comic series. To say if that were to get animated and Hasbro were to approach you about that to animate this thing, what sort of mindset would you do or have to get into this, and how would you approach it? Like, what would you sort of keep true to the comic, and what would you sort of make your own?
Well, I think, first of all, the main thing, having seen the comic, is all the sort of pop culture references. A lot of those, sadly, would have to get turfed because of licensing issues. And it would depend on what comic story it was. Like, if it was a big 6-issue arc or something, if it was just going to be converted into a half hour, we'd have to cut a lot. But if it was, say, like that first arc was, 4 issues or something with the Chrysalis? It was 4? Like, maybe we could do that in a 2-parter?
Yeah, maybe a 3-parter.
Maybe if they would let us.
Special. If we do like an hour special.
Yeah, if we did it as, like, if we could convince them to do like a DVD of just Pony or something, that'd be cool.
Right.
But I think the main thing would be just picking the moments, like the core moments of the story, and making sure those all worked, and then all the little extra stuff, if we had time to fit it in.
Yeah,
would be
things
great.
that like stand out in the comic, like an iconic moment in the comic, we would probably try to stay true to that. But I mean, we have to also keep it to film storytelling rules as well, so that it feels good to someone who's never read the comic.
It would be different. Like,
yeah, it would be. It wouldn't be the comic.
The process,
Yeah.
but we'd definitely keep Jim the Cave Troll.
Now, Jim, I read that you had also started storyboards, but now you're co-director starting in season 4. So, how has that experience been for you? Is it do you still do storyboard and background?
Well, more like now as Jayson did before, I get to tell them what they did wrong and fix it. Just kidding.
I still tell you what you did wrong.
Well, you think so. Yeah, it's nice to oversee the episode all the way through, rather than just the board. So I can have an influence on the script, and I can have an influence on the design, and I can have an influence on the voice record, and so on and so on. And make sure that it's my vision all the way through, and someone doesn't, like this guy, mess it up.
Okay, so we're going to go
fix it.
We're going to go. The gentleman in the back here, they're going to work our way up, because I've been through a lot of panels, a lot of conventions. We don't want to ignore the people at the back, because everyone's important. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm Brent. I just want to thank you guys for inspiring me to get to Animation University.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm just about to finish it up. Yeah.
Where are you going?
Art AI.
Excellent.
I'm just wondering what it would take to get hired at a place like DHX.
A couple $100,000 in my hand.
It's just knock on the door and put in your portfolio. You know, like there's always room to put in a portfolio and have someone look at it. We look at portfolios sometimes.
Yeah.
There's lots of different studios in town. There's lots of work in this town right now. It's actually a really good time.
Actually, to work at DHX specifically, and this is kind of a pain in the butt for Americans, but because DHX is a Canadian company, you have to be Canadian to work there. Yeah,
at least a landed Canadian.
A landed Canadian. The other thing is, a lot of the studios, DHX included, offer tests. So you can ask for a board test or a layout test or whatever, and you can do that as sort of a showcase of where you're at in terms of your ability. And depending on how well that goes, we can decide whether you'd enter in at a junior position or maybe more elevated if your skill level's at a higher position.
Yeah, when I was looking for work back in, when I first started out, I looked through the phone book.
Yeah.
And there was no internet listings then.
How old are you?
Younger than you.
Yeah, not by much.
I just went through the phone book and just looked up every animation studio in town and just, mailed them and went to the place, met the person at the reception desk and gave them the portfolio and just hoped for a phone call and just kept calling until somebody saw it and said yes or no.
And sometimes it's a matter of timing. Yeah, that's a big
timing.
one. If you're willing to go in and maybe intern for free, which is never great, but sometimes that'll get you in the door.
Getting in the door is a big thing.
That's the biggest hurdle, is getting in the door and being able to come in every day. And once you're there, even if you're not in the position you want, even if you're just making photocopies, you can maybe, you're there and you can find out, they need a production assistant on that thing. Maybe I'll tell them I'd really like to try for that. And then that's easier to navigate into those positions. And once they know you, they can go oh yeah, he's great. Let's slot him in.
I used to do photocopies and punch paper for a studio for a little while.
Yeah, because for instance, my day job is working for the Cinematographers Guild in town here at 669. Cool. And we have a trainee program. And what we always enforce to the trainees is you're being trained to do a job, and yet you probably do a lot of scut work, like getting coffee and washing dishes. But the relationships that you form in that phase of your career will only help you in later on, because of I don't know what's like in the animation industry, but at least in the local film and television community, reputations get made and things get passed around.
Yeah.
So
if you're a jerk at one studio, we'll find out.
Yeah, exactly.
People get hired just based on reputation.
I haven't had to apply for a job since I got in the industry, because it's all friends who I worked with at one place went somewhere else and there's a job here, you'd be great. And then these guys say we know him, bring him on.
Yeah. Like any job, work ethic is very important. Yeah. Okay, you are next, sir.
Oh, what were your favorite and least favorite episodes to work on, at least so far?
That's a tough one.
Favorite episode?
Of ones we can talk about anyway.
Well, I have to say, hands down for me, the cheese sandwich episode has to be my favorite. And, not just, this is a huge part of it, but meeting Weird Al was pretty much a highlight of my career.
That was pretty cool.
And getting to, direct him, which was crazy. To do that is just wow, I'm sweating bullets the whole time, but that was definitely my favorite episode, for many reasons.
I think for me, it'll probably be also a season 4 episode, because I got to direct on those ones, and I sort of see it as a companion piece to Pinky Pride. I think Three's a Crowd with that Discord song.
Oh yeah,
the amount of crazy stuff we were able to get away with in that song. Board artist Mike West did a fantastic job, and then and Daniel's song.
Steph, were you on that?
Did you work on that one? Yeah, the Glass of Water song.
Oh.
Yeah, that one's pretty crazy. What about Least? Do you have a least?
I don't want to talk about it.
Trauma, no.
I'd say stuff in season 1 because I only got to work on 1 in season 1.
Yeah, you did. Let me see. There are a few, but they weren't my least for the reasons that you see. It's more like because it's the behind the scenes stuff where a storyboard comes in and maybe you don't like it or something's not right or it's just kind of a slog.
Never reaches
through
its
it.
full potential.
Yeah, or something, or you there's something you want to do and you just can't get at it. But then in the end, once we get in the mix and we see it all finished, like, oh, that actually turned out really good. It was just a hard road getting there. You know, there's a few, from each season that I could say that about, but I don't want to taint anybody's opinion.
What about you, Steph?
Season 2, finale part 2. Obviously, that was
awesome.
awesome.
Your favorite?
That was my favorite because it was Candlelight Wedding Part 2. And then least favorite might have been the cheese sandwich for technical reasons.
Oh, yeah.
Because I had to do.
That was a heavy
They
one
almost
for you.
killed me, but it was amazing. But technically, it was.
It wasn't the T-Rex battle.
Yeah. Never mind.
She's responsible for that too.
Wait, can I change my answer? That's awesome.
Yeah,
that episode.
that one was pretty awesome. Yeah.
And just quickly before we get to the next question, because you've just a surprise panelist, tell us a little bit more about what exactly your job is.
Yeah, what do you do?
We'll probably be talking more about it
does.
tomorrow with.
Give us a taste.
Taste is they are my boss. They tell me what to do.
Give us panel spoiler.
Really quick.
Dance monkey.
We take the boards and then we pretty much have to set up the scenes, put the characters, hit all the board panels, pretty much do the main acting points of a shot. Make sure things hook up, make sure that the expressions are right, and not the actual in-between animation. We kind of call it like key posing, hitting all the key points. That animation will then in between and amp up and really quick.
Just to get a like a film and television analog, would it be very similar to what a continuity or script supervisor would do, or
it's like blocking?
More like
or even
DPing
Yeah, camera moves are put
Camera
in,
moves and
pans,
and angles and lighting.
angles. Yeah, I gotta say, you guys do a really, really good job at staying true to the storyboard
Thank you.
artist's work because
We try.
it's really hard. It's so easy in Flash to just put the model sheet in and just limit it to what's
we try to make
already
fun
made.
facial expressions. And,
Yeah, so they
Flash sometimes it's hard, but
do a good job of taking what the board artist did and the crazy expressions that they add and poses and like stay true to that. And so the board artists watching go like, that's exactly what I drew. So
And I did
that's
notice
huge.
a definite progression in the facial expressions in season 4. It's a little bit in season 3, but things seemed a lot more expressive and dynamic than they ever been.
yeah, there's
so
some
it's
really
like,
cool
Right,
boards,
that's
and,
why, right
and we're
there.
really trying to and we're really trying to push it.
Yeah.
Like you gotta one up it every season. So
But we also can't forget the one animation mistake that brought us derpy. So
we know all about that. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're next. You're next.
Hi, I just wanted to say thank you very much for inspiring me through My Little Pony to become a creative writing major, and I'm on the way to a bachelor's degree in
Congratulations.
Yeah, good for
fiction
you.
and script writing. So thank you so much for the
Oh, you're very
inspiration for
welcome.
that.
Thank you.
And my question is, it's kind of like the last one, but a bit different. What was the most difficult episode to make from a technical standpoint? It could be any form.
Pinky
of
Pride.
anything.
Yeah, that was pretty huge.
Oh yeah, Equestria
Which one?
Games. Just because the sheer number of
yes.
ponies and shots.
Trying to get some of those crowd shots done.
And
I'm
then
sure you.
every
pulled
episode
your
has
hair
its
out.
own challenges. Like the T-Rex battle at the end of season 4 for AFX, After
Yeah.
Effects,
Oh,
was
yeah,
crazy. And then trying to make sure that we weren't just reusing stock effects and trying to make them unique and different, and that was really draining. I don't know, they each have their own set of challenges. It can be sometimes really something dumb too.
Yeah, sometimes the script just isn't working, and you have to like work it and work it and work it, and then once the
Scripts
script
always
is
work,
handed
Jayson.
in, then once the writers finally get it to that point where it's good and it's ready to go, then it can be easy from there. Or it can be a really great script. We get it in storyboards, and we just struggle and struggle.
Yeah,
and struggle.
sometimes the challenge doesn't present
It-
itself until further down the line.
Yeah,
It'll
it
either
can be
at
anywhere.
script or board or
There's many
layout,
ways that it
or
can
even
fail.
So yeah, there's lots of things that there's a million times it can go wrong.
Yeah, we have lots of opportunities to adjust it and make it better and better and better, though. So to get it to where you guys see it.
Now, in regards to Pinky Pride, for the first time, there was actually the 2 sort of live action shots that were put in the episode. Now, were those planned, or was that just some last minute inspiration?
A little bit of plan, a little bit of last minute. I knew because in season 2, I managed to get in that little stop motion bit with inside Pinky's head with the felt animation.
Oh, I love that. That was so cute.
was a little bit like a pie in the sky idea I had. I wasn't sure it was going to work out. Yeah, a little bit. And then so this one, I'm like, I want to do that again. I was trying to look for another kind of crazy breakout moment. And this episode, Pinky Pride was the perfect opportunity. I was just looking for it. But I didn't know how I was going to do it or what it was going to be. I had ideas of doing cheese sandwich as like a marionette and, the styrofoam balls or something. But it had to be a natural spot.
And it also had to be something that didn't take a ton of work.
Yeah, or cost me any money.
Yeah. Because like that,
I had no support. I had to do it by myself.
Yeah,
right?
that boneless dance, that puppet, and the filming was all done by Jayson and his wife in their house.
In my basement. That's my floor in the basement.
And then the other thing, we went to the Amazon and found a caiman and asked him to stand still.
Of course, yeah. That was really
stock
tricky.
Footage. It's stock footage.
But I had plans to go to the reptile refuge and find one, but they didn't have any caimans or alligators or anything. They only had geckos, and that wasn't going to work.
At least you didn't have to try and pull the teeth out to prep him. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, you're here, gentlemen. Okay, got him, and then you. Okay.
There's time yet.
Play time, people.
We're still making the show. So.
Hello, my name's Cameron.
Hello, Cameron.
So. The one I sort of wanted to know, because you guys specifically stated that you try and do what you think is good for the show and such. Not giving any specific moments, but I do know you guys have to do, like if Hasbro says they want something, you have to pretty much do it. So how do you balance that out? Like, especially if they do something that you sort of think doesn't really work. So how do you balance that out so that you can make it your own while still staying true to what's being asked?
Well, I mean,
that is a tricky balance. I mean, we're very collaborative. So and Hasbro is amazing. So.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a fun challenge to take something and find the right spot to make this idea work. Like very rarely, Hasbro's really great to us. As much as people slag them online, they're entirely supportive of some of the crazy dumb ideas we want to try in the show.
And they have good ideas of their own too. Like
some of the great stuff has come from them and their notes.
Yeah, it's not our show. It's not even like it's not my show. It's not your show. It's the show.
Oh, it's my show. It's my show.
It's the show. So we try to keep it that way. So like if wherever an idea comes from, whether if it's from a storyboard artist or a writer or an executive or anybody, if it's a good idea, it's a good idea and it should go in the show. So we don't really have bad ideas.
There's ideas that work and ideas that don't.
Yeah,
it's not really a matter of good and
work
bad.
With them, and make them all work.
So this is a question I'm directing at all of you.
You're directing now.
It is the director's
my
panel.
Has something to do with direction. So how have your attitudes changed towards producing My Little Pony? Like as far as directing, designing, storyboarding.
You start.
I've started on season 1. I got to see the test before, we started really.
What did you think of that test?
I knew about it, so I'm like, I need to be on the show. I watched Pony when I was a kid, had to get on it. I don't know if my thoughts have changed about it, other than I like it more because we're trying new things all the time. I'm still entertained by it. I don't know about you guys, but I'll keep on it as long as they let me. So nothing's really changed for
Your
me.
days are numbered.
Yeah, we need to talk after the show.
My attitude changed early on when we first got the show potentially into the studio, and I heard, oh, My Little Pony's coming back. Would you like to direct it? And I'm like, My Little Pony? You mean the one from the 80s? Like that's what I was thinking. And
Same with me.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was like, I don't know. That's
the dumb show my sister made me watch.
Yeah. Really? Well, I'm not really working right now. Yeah. But then I heard that Lauren Faust had a lot to do with the reboot and everything, and like that piqued my interest. I'm like, well, I want to see this because I know she does amazing work, and if she is involved, it's got to be good. And then when I saw the Bible and all the designs and the ideas and the stories in the world, I'm like, I'm in. This is going to be awesome. This can't. I have to do this. And then so over the years, I think I've just my attitude hasn't really changed. I've just sort of grown more accustomed to it. It's like 5 years now for me. I've lived this show. But I think I've grown as a director a lot more and learned and changed my attitude as a director. Because it's just inevitable, but it's gotten more collaborative and letting go of things that maybe I wanted to do, but then someone else had an idea that was better than me, and I'm like, you know what, I gotta let that go to someone else. That was a good idea. So things like that, because when you're first starting as a director, you kind of want to own everything, and you want to just do everything. It's hard to you
have to learn to delegate.
Yeah, you handle that. No, I want to handle that.
Yeah, trusting the people
someone
around
else is going to do it, and they're going to do a great job.
And the crew we've garnered on the show is absolutely amazing.
Awesome. Yeah.
In some ways, it makes our jobs a million times easier.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I mean, for me, I think similarly, I had a sort of adverse reaction when I was first approached. But then not only did I come to appreciate the show, but I appreciate the challenges that people must experience working on licensed shows. Other things for toys or, movie spin-off TV series or something, those bring a certain set of challenges because you want to be true to the brand and stay on task for what they're trying to accomplish. And that can be not difficult, but challenging. And I think just the same as you, learning to trust the people around me, that they're just as passionate about it as we are.
On a show like this, there's a lot of people that weigh in at different levels in the corporate scene. People that I've never met, never ever talked to, just names on the script. They can weigh in and have their own agendas, and we have to keep everybody's agenda in mind, and that can be a little bit tricky, but I think we're doing fine.
The fact that the show is still on after 4 seasons with a 5th one coming is a testament to how good we're doing.
Well, and to these
and
guys
to the fact
right
that
here, right?
the fact that you guys
we
are
wouldn't
still
be here
watching
if it wasn't
it.
for you.
Yeah.
So we have to thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you very much.
More than anything.
Because overall, back when I was a child in the 80s and I watched a lot of cartoons and Saturday morning, and these days I find there's a lot more care and attention to the quality in the writing as opposed to we're not just doing this to market this toy line. Because, first season My Little Pony and Smurfs and Mask and G.I. Joe and, to a lesser extent, not the Transformers, because the Transformers back in the 80s, they actually did do some pretty good writing. The movie was pretty good too. But there's a lot more creativity and freedom, because I've watched My Little Pony and also episodes of Littlest Pet Shop. They tend to be a bit more creatively free as opposed to we're just here to sell you stuff.
Well, I think the difference is when they were doing shows in the 80s, there were guys who didn't grow up with those kinds of shows. And the people who grew up with those kinds of shows and loved G.I. Joe and Transformers and My Little Pony, those are the people who are now writing for those shows. And they want to make an awesome show because they love that art form of telling this story in 22 minutes. And I think that's the big difference.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What would you say is the number one thing you wish you could change about an episode that already went to air?
When you guys find animation mistakes that we missed.
I'll watch a show as it's airing, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, how did I miss that? How did I?
It's
why
crazy
watch that
because
20,000
that's
times?
the thing.
How
We've seen
could
it
I
a
miss
million
that?
times, and the fact that it's now we're seeing it, or someone points it out, it's like, what? It's so obvious.
The case in point is this. You probably all know about in episode 26, there was one pony for 4 or 6 frames that lost his face. I have no idea how that got passed, but it was.
And it's not even just us. A million people look at that. There's a quality control process.
There's a separate
where
place.
People look at it for those
to,
sorts of things.
Yeah, we send it to a company called Deluxe, and they go and frame by frame watch the thing through and make sure they catch every little problem. I wonder if it had to do with like a last-minute revision to widen the shot. Yeah, it's like, oh, we need to go 10% wider. It feels a bit tighter. Something's changed.
Well, that's like when
and
people
then it goes through and
people find like, oh, look, a new alicorn. No, that's a mistake. Is because the symbols for the well, there's a few other ones that have made it through.
Yeah.
The symbols for wings and horns are in the same model, so it's one of them got recolored. They got accidentally left on. It happens.
Yeah.
You're next with the wonderful.
The cartoon guys.
The wonderful hat.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. This is a bit of a long shot, but could you explain what happened in Magical Mystery Cure? Not Alicorn Twilight, not that.
You want like a log line or a synopsis?
Well, I'm just
okay. So Twilight got this book, and
thank you. I'm just sort of confused because their cutie marks are switched, and then they don't really know how to do what they would normally be doing. But when Spike tells Twilight to use the memory spell that they used in Return of Harmony, she says that their memories haven't been altered. So I'm wondering how that would be possible. If they don't know how to do the jobs that they already did, is this a time travel thing? And is there a massive paradox?
I think the episode speaks for itself pretty well.
I mean, that's the fun thing about these kinds of shows is you can make up an answer that works for you. It's an interactive program. That's kind of a long-winded question, so maybe if you come by while we're signing or wandering around, I'll try and give you a better answer than that.
Yeah, maybe if you know, you could tell me too.
I'm pretty good at I don't know if you know this, but I work making stuff up.
Oh, yeah.
So I can make something up that will maybe satisfy him.
What do you think would happen to the show if the bronies never existed?
We'd sell a lot
That's
of
a really good question,
toys.
actually.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you play the card game? Okay.
I mean, it's hard to speculate on what could have been, but I think
the show still would have been done. The show would have been
still
made.
would have fulfilled our contract.
I don't think the show necessarily would be going on quite as long.
Probably not 6 seasons or 5 seasons or whatever.
Where are we at?
But I don't know where we are.
Don't think that confirms
Season 5,
anything,
movie
you
number
weirdos.
2.
Yeah, that's the one. But like, certainly. I mean, look at how other shows that don't have a following as strong as this. How long do they go? And that's probably
Some of those shows are still
even
successful.
though they're good shows.
They're successful for their demographic and their market.
Yeah.
Like just because it doesn't have a dedicated fan base to the same extent doesn't mean it disappears.
Yeah.
That fan base maybe just look quieter.
They don't have internet access.
Hello, my name is Justin.
Hello.
So throughout your whole career of doing the directing and the storyboarding for this show, like, do you feel like you accomplished your goal through it, or do you still feel like you need to push that envelope higher and higher every time you go for an episode?
Well, I know for me, like, we can never... Every year we set the bar higher, and we can't make the show worse than it was. If you have this battle with T-Rex at the end of season 4, well, we can't go back now because it's like,
2 T-Rex.
Yeah. All fighting all the time.
2 Equestrias, 2 T-Rex.
And it's fun to try and challenge ourselves to top ourselves. That doesn't necessarily mean more fighting. But to do something new and different and exciting in the show. I feel if I'm not challenging myself on whatever project I'm on, I shouldn't be on it.
Yeah, you don't want to be boring, right? So it's got to be interesting. And sometimes topping yourself doesn't necessarily mean bigger explosions or bigger battles. It might mean going in a different direction.
Shut up, Michael Bay.
It had to be said. But it might mean like going in a different direction and topping yourself in a different way. You haven't traveled, down a different road that you haven't gone.
Maybe instead of
before.
a fight, we do like a weird psychological episode or something.
Yeah, maybe.
That would be hard to pull off,
into the
right?
mouth of madness.
Yeah, exactly. Twilight goes to Miskatonic University.
Well, there is.
Yeah.
Well, there is great
Two
potential within
Celestias.
Pinkie Pie's head. We've seen that a number of times.
Yeah.
Okay, your question. You're next. Wait, if you want, you have a question? Yes. Okay, great. Come on. Come on, ask some stuff.
With any creative work, no matter how good the final product is, creators often feel disappointed with their own final product. Do you ever feel disappointed with your final product?
Yes.
Have you kind of gotten, or have you kind of gotten past? Like, how do you deal with that
You
disappointment?
cry. Especially when you read horrible comments on the internet. And you're like, I wanted it to be better.
You go in
we
the
do read
shower,
that.
you huddle up,
Yeah.
and you just rock.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who said it, but it's like art is never finished; it's only abandoned. I mean, we could spend forever just going over and making it better, but there's a point where we have to adhere to.
I don't
a
think you
schedule,
guys would be
you know,
cool
and
with
a
like
budget.
one episode every 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, we do the best we can with what we've got, and at some point you gotta let it go.
Are you guys aware of there's an animated movie called The Thief and the Cobbler? You guys know that movie?
Oh yeah, that's a good story. You know the story
You
of
know
the
the
Thief
story
and
of
the
that?
Cobbler?
That movie has been worked
How
on.
it was made?
It was worked on for over 30 years.
Some odd
30
years.
years. And
Yeah.
then eventually the investors took it away from Richard Williams and put some songs and some voices and really
Slapped
screwed
it on
up.
a Fruit Loops box.
Yeah, and no one cared.
Yeah.
But when you watch the rough version of that movie, it will blow your mind.
Yeah, I
But
remember-
that's 30 years, and he wasn't ready to show it even when they took it away from him. So
Yeah, that's the pitfalls.
You're next.
Ooh, is that okay? I guess that works. Yeah, hi there. So I got a voice actory related question. So I don't exactly know the order of process where, like, you know, because I'd imagine that some transition is made between the lines that are read and then sort of displaying the emotion through animation. Not necessarily even just in Pony, but I have to wonder what it's like kind of not only directing the voice actors to give these lines weight, but then also to get the animators to try and make it just right to how it was being portrayed in the recording studio.
I wonder if
is there a voice actor here?
Should, throw the question over to Miss Nicole Oliver over
Who's
here,
crashing our panel.
who has found her way into
Hello,
the room.
Nicole.
Who plays Celestia
And Cheerily.
What do you have to say about that?
What is it like to lift the words off the page? I'm usually drunk in most sessions, but
That explains a lot.
oops. Well, I always say this story. Like one of the first episodes we ever recorded, there was a line about talking about boys and girls and someone, and in the room at the time recording was like, this doesn't sound right. It wouldn't be someone. It should be some pony. And shouldn't it be boys and girls or ladies and gentlemen? It should be fillies and gentle colts. So in terms of, as an actor, influencing the creative process that is My Little Pony, that was about as deep as it has ever gotten. But, you know, lifting the words off the page, what we get, and we do our best. I do my best to continually try and screw around with it. And they do their best. No, they succeed in squashing me.
Yeah.
Down, stop, behave.
Just read the line.
Just read the line.
Lines.
Celestia's not British.
Okay, Jim, how should I read the line? Discord, go home. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So I do that line.
You just need the
like
sounds to come out of your voice.
Yes.
So
No, 'cause I'm a big fan of Rob Paulson's podcast, Talking Tunes, which is, if you are curious about a lot of the processes of animation, including voice actors, Rob Paulson's Talking Tunes, you can't do better than that. And he says that there's a lot more fun that actually goes on behind the takes rather than between the actual takes. So that's very similar to My Little Pony.
Well, it's a great room. I mean, it's not always the case, but everyone on the other side of the glass, so the directors and the producers and the talent in the room, we all actually get along quite well, and we all respect each other. We're friends.
Friendship is magic.
But that friends with what? Ooh. But that comfort level, it does come out, I think, in the script. It's just, it's a pretty. I think we try and push the boundaries as much as we can, given the fact that at any moment Hasbro's lawyers may drop from the ceiling.
I think also, like, going back to your question about like that. Oh, there we go. the acting and stuff and the expressions and things. A lot of that comes from the board artists and the layout people listening
and the animators.
and the animators listening to the track and trying to match the performance and making the character do what they hear in the performance of the voice. And it sometimes can be tricky because all you have is the voice. You don't have like motion capture or even video of the actors performing it.
You know, we do get a lot of subtlety. Like, you know, our cast is amazing, and they put
Super
in a lot of, even though they're, you know, just not just because they're right here, but there's a lot of subtlety and nuance that we have on the show because it's a very emotional show, and so we're able to, you know, get that into the voice, and then the animators and the board artists can play with that a lot. Like we really have them listen to the track and every little kind of nuance that we can get in there. It just really adds to the realism and the feeling that these are alive creatures that have feelings and emotions, and they live in a real world, and this is all real.
And we always try to have this attitude that at each stage of the process, script to voice records and boarding, everything, it should get a little bit better each time. We don't always succeed because we're human. We have our flaws, but we always...
He's human. I'm a miracle.
Oh, I see. We're infallible. But yeah, we always try to make it better and plus it up. Try to make it, in your parlance, as you say, 20% cooler every time.
And sometimes improvements can come at any stage. Like sometimes we're in the mix, putting sound effects and music together, and then we find like, hey, this is a really good joke here we could do, and we suddenly went from no joke to a joke, and
with
at the
sound
very last,
alone,
with sound alone at the very last minute. So,
but always aware that BS&P is lurking behind the corner.
Yeah, of course.
For those who know, broadcast standards and practices.
They tell us when we're going too far and can't do that on television.
I guess the first question is about writing, the second one's about voice actors.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. Hey, Jason. My name's Brandon. I was curious about when the writing process comes for episodes, like, do you guys sometimes realize that it can be hard to correct an episode? For example, I noticed the Equestria Games episode is one of the most split of the fandom, mainly because, like, I guess the writing process kind of got written into a corner, and it turned out Spike got the spotlight instead.
I don't know if it was written into a corner.
No. That's a personal opinion.
Yeah.
Like we get to weigh in on what we think the episode should be based on the premises that are submitted. But once they've decided what the episode is going to be about, we're committed to making that episode and making it really well. I wouldn't say that that's a problem.
Yeah, Megan, the story editor, she has the whole season she's looking at for every episode. She lays it all out ahead of time. So, you know, they're planning the stuff ahead of time. So, I'm sure she had a plan to do that episode with Spike that way, because we did already an episode before that where they did races and they had team stuff, and she probably, I mean, I don't want to speak for her, but she probably didn't want to like just go down that same path and do, you know, more of the same.
And also it's
taking a different take on it.
It's the story as it presents itself. So they could have pitched, and I don't know, I don't want to speak for them as well, but they could have pitched a bunch of other Equestria Games plot lines that just weren't great. And they decided to go with this one of Spike because there was a whole story there that just presented itself that we all felt was really funny.
I don't want to say that it writes itself. It certainly doesn't. But but you know, sometimes like you talk stuff through, and they're in the writers' room. I'm sure they sit around and they put out a bunch of ideas, and then some stuff you can go down that path, and then it's not quite working, but then something just kind of presents itself as also, like, this is good, we can do this, and suddenly it's a finished piece, and you know that's the right one to do.
In my opinion, and this is mine alone, I feel that if Equestria Games had gone with what everyone expected, it would have been just a retelling of the Rainbow Falls episode. And we'd already done that.
And it might have been too expected. Yeah. You know, doing a Spike thing is a little bit what you wouldn't expect.
And if certain people are disappointed, well, there's 25 other episodes. Maybe you can find one you like.
I really like the part where he's trying to sing the anthem. I
It's
thought
hilarious.
That was brilliant.
It's so
I thought
funny.
That was really,
Yeah.
really good.
Well, it actually takes a lot of talent to be able to sing bad, because it's anyone can sing good, but singing bad takes a very different kind of vocal technique.
Yeah, we didn't
than-
let Kathy hear the music track beforehand.
Yeah.
So
we
didn't-
wanted it to
we
be
just wanted
totally
it to be
spontaneous.
totally on it. And
So she was like, "I want to hear it," and get to like, "No, you have to do it.
Just
in
make
the
it up on the
moment."
spot.
And the first take was the one we kept because it was
It was
the right one.
it was the best / worst, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah.
the best example of the worst singing. Yes. Okay.
Hi, my name is Ethan, and I had a couple of questions for you. Is that, do you guys do the pop culture references? For example, Three's a Crowd, there was a Star Wars reference in there. There was a Harry Potter reference in there, as well as Pinky Bride, a whole bunch of spaghetti westerns references in there.
That's us.
Was that you guys then?
Us and the
Big
board
Lebowski
artists.
in the bowling alley.
Yeah, that's us, the board artists, the designers, even the layout people.
And the writers.
Even
too.
the writers too sometimes. Yeah,
because
it
I know
comes from anyone.
Amy put in a lot of like references to kind of Clint Eastwood stuff for Cheese Sandwich, and that everyone is contributing. It's very
Well, she
collaborative.
presented this idea of him being sort of an outlaw, and then Rebecca Dart and Rid Sorensen, the art director and the character designer on season 4, decided like, oh, let's give him a poncho and kind of that Clint Eastwood man with no name hat, so that it sort of grows and stuff.
Yeah.
But like in the Glass of Water, like the Hunter S. Thompson Discord, that came from the board artist at the time. Mike West came up with that, and like the Star Wars one, I thought for sure they would ask us to take it out, but it was on screen so fast, I don't think standards noticed.
Oh, now they will. Thanks.
Too late.
Oh, and what about the G1 Pinkie Pie?
Oh, yeah,
that's
that
a
one.
good story
Or that
for that
G3.
one.
I can't remember which G it was.
We tried to get the G1 Pinkie Pie in
Season
one, but it got shot down.
That
then.
was an idea that a board artist named Scott Underwood came up with, and we all loved that
It was
joke.
hilarious.
So we just kept trying to put it in where it fit, and finally they were like, "Fine."
But it was a situation that was warranted. It
worked really well.
It fit in, so we got it.
I had a couple of people in the back I seem to have lost track of.
There's
Is
a
there any
hand.
other-
There's a hand way over there.
All right, that was the hand I was looking for. So you're next.
I'm not going to reach Mike, but that's okay.
That's fine.
This kind of goes, especially for Stephanie, because you were on for, since you started in season 1,
Yes.
you were in season 2. So
One. He's been on since 1.
Before 1.
Season 0.
Season 0.
Ed, Ed, and Eddie.
Is there any sort of sign when you were working on the show that something like this was going to be happening?
I remember when it hit the fan.
Or when
Oh, before?
Okay.
Just like I remember when we found out.
You noticed it, you just went, what was kind of your initial reaction? Was it just kind of like,
To the fandom, you mean?
yeah.
Or do we know?
Like all of a sudden there was this thing happening called Brody's, and you just, it was like, what?
It was weird.
I remember way back in season.
How old are you?
Yeah. I remember it was 10/10/10. It was the first episode when it came out. That was their air date. Of course, I was curious. We worked on this for almost a year. I wanted to know, how did people react to this? Did anybody react to it? Did anyone even see it?
Yeah, I don't think we expected it. We knew it was a good show, but I don't think we were like, this is going to happen.
Part of the network too.
Yeah, it was part of the network launch.
We didn't have it in Canada either. So.
But I had a feeling that since Lauren Faust had been the creator of it, and she's already kind of well known in the industry, and having worked on Powerpuff Girls and Foster's Home and stuff like that, that would get at least some interest in people to check it out. So I was thinking, it's probably going to be people that wouldn't normally see the show checking it out. But the thing that really got me realizing there's something interesting going on here is when I started seeing YouTube comments that were saying, like, I'm a guy and I'm 18 years old and I really like this show. What's wrong with me? I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And I was seeing more and more and more of that, and it was like, I think there's something going on here. There's like an unexpected, reaction to the show.
I think we have about time for 2 more questions. So, anybody else? Okay. So you and yeah, that's fine. Yeah, this is a long trip. So, person by the mirror, and then the person in the middle. I'll meet you halfway. While we're waiting, quick question for all 3 of you: favorite Warner Brothers cartoon?
Warner Brothers cartoon?
Warner Brothers cartoon. 'Cause I know you have a lot of inspiration from Warner Brothers.
Right.
You?
Feed the kitty.
Is that the one with Tweety?
No, that's the one with the bulldog and the cat.
Oh, that one.
And then he thinks he cooks him in the pie.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. Isn't that the name of the big bulldog?
Sweet. What? I was say Sweetums.
No,
that's
his
about
name's
it.
like, he's got like a Roman emperor name, like Augustus or something.
Yes.
Right. Well, I'm now blanking on the name of it, but it.
What's Opera Doc?
What's Opera Doc and the Barber of Seville.
That's the Rabbit of Seville.
Rabbit of Seville, yeah.
What's the one with the Jimmy Durante cat with a big nose?
Oh, that's like Back Alley Uproar. I think.
It's just the craziest drawings in that one. I love that one.
For me, the ultimate is with Daffy Duck getting all messed around with.
Oh, Duck-a-Muck.
Duck-a-Muck, yeah, classic.
Okay.
With the current rise of social media, Twitter, Facebook, and particularly with the audience that this show has kind of gathered, especially when you're saying unexpected, I've heard that being able to get immediate feedback sometime in real time as the show is airing is really interesting. So has that affected how you do your jobs, that sort of thing? I've heard also that there's kind of sometimes almost a quasi-brony check that goes around. How does that affect your work?
We do a lot more crying, like we said before. Like on some days, I'm scared to check my Twitter on Saturday mornings.
Oh, you're so down. Negative.
They hated my work.
Actually, I like it whether it's good feedback or not because it's
baloney.
No, it's feedback. The worst thing that could happen is you make a show, you put it out there, and nobody watches
says
it.
anything.
And
Apathy
nobody says
is the
anything.
worst, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, if people are really passionately against something, it's like they care.
I find too
we
that
made something people care about.
If the criticism is valid and polite,
yeah,
I don't mind if people say it sucks and here's why.
Right.
But if you just say it sucks and I go, well, why? 'Cause I said so. Well, then you're just a jerk.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with real criticism that, there's times when we've seen criticisms that yeah, I agree.
We wish we
that's
could
just
have
the way
fixed
it
that,
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Always be to be constructive rather than destructive.
That's right.
Hi, I don't know how often it happens in this kind of thing, but creative block. What do you guys do to get past it?
We're not allowed to
Not
have
allowed to
that.
have it.
We're not allowed.
You keep working.
Yeah, the intense time.
You
frame
have a
stuff.
drink.
Or several.
Yeah, sometimes it's. I mean, when we were working on boards, that would happen a lot. And one of the things we would do is either silly things like change the color of pencil you're using, or get up and go for a walk around the block. Get some
Going
fresh
for
air.
a walk, I found has saved me a lot of times from creative block. If
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there I can't work this out, and we just go for an evening walk and just not think about things for a while, and suddenly at the end of the walk I'm I know what to do.
You let your subconscious
figure
work
it
on
out.
it a
Yeah,
little
it
bit.
just-
You have to, if you have the
to
time,
relax.
step away from it for even if it's only for 5 minutes, or just change your outlook. Look out the window.
I do that all the time. I mean, we're lucky we have.
I do my best thinking in the bathroom at work.
We have a great view of our office. We can turn and look and see Cole Harbor and all those cruise ships and stuff. And on a nice day, it's really beautiful. And sometimes I'll just turn and just stare out the window for a bit and just let
That's
my
what you're
brain
doing.
shut down.
I thought you were having a stroke or something.
That too. But just step away.
All right. Well, that concludes our director's panel. Thank you very much for showing up and
thank you, everybody.
questions.
Can we have a round of applause for our moderator?
Thank you for moderating. You did a great
Thank you.
job. And thanks to Nicole Oliver for showing up.
Thank you to
for one
Stephanie
question.
for sitting in. If anyone wants these cards, come and talk to me.
$5 each.
The first one here.